Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's somebody's house.
So I know Andra is coming from Nashville.
It's okay.
Lily and Jen are coming from Connecticut. Well, what other states have we got represented here? Anybody else?
I'm just kidding.
Deep dark shadows.
I'm just kidding.
Holly.
Silly.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You know, if you get a joke that works, just keep going.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, here
We
you.
believe you.
We believe you. I'm just kidding.
Okay, silly goose.
She's like the warm-up act.
I'm just
That's true.
kidding. I'm just
Here,
kidding.
Come here,
Mommy?
cutie.
We'll go with mommy.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, we saw you, honey.
Can you say
Yeah.
bye-bye?
Bye.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.
So welcome, everybody. We're going to give folks another couple minutes to gather, and then we will step into things.
Yeah, we should have some background music, I guess, huh? They don't provide that in Zoom, do they?
No.
This is that time when you're going to a concert and you found your seat, you're sitting there, but you're waiting for the person to come out on stage and start singing.
I was going to say, this is when all the instrumentalists are tuning to one another.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, there's always some kid somewhere at summer camp that plays Stairway to Heaven before the music starts. So give you a minute of it, you know. Either that or Guns N' Roses. We'll do one or the other.
Yeah.
Dusting off all my high school repertoire.
And hopefully you didn't have Stairway to Heaven in your set list already.
That since 1994.
Is that when, was it Wayne's World when that, what was the movie that they were like all against Stairway to Heaven?
I think Wayne's World was.
That
Yeah.
was Wayne's World, definitely.
They had a sign in the guitar shop and it said,
No stairway.
no stairway.
I forgot about that. Well, I'll tell you what, this is the first camp I've ever been to that's air conditioned for the campfire. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
You guys are all sitting inside. I'm sitting outside, so it's better than it was earlier, but it was definitely very humid earlier today.
You know, where you're sitting, though, it's so picturesque. It looks like it could be a backdrop, you know, like it looks like it could be green screened.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Where are you?
This is just my backyard. I live in Lee. So, I don't know. This is just my yard. So,
Pretty.
Nice.
yeah. So I've tried the green screens before and the results were not wonderful. I got it didn't process everything correctly, so it looked like my eye sockets were filled in with the green screen. So, yeah.
My family lives in California and I live in Tennessee, and so we're about 2,000 miles apart. And so my little nephews, they are all about the green screen backdrop, and it'll give you a whiplash. You know, you're sitting there watching them, and they're like zip, zip, zip. They're like in The Simpsons, and then all of a sudden they're, you know,
Yeah.
at the Statue of Liberty, and the next thing you know, they're at the St. Louis Arch. It's intense.
Hey, George.
There he is.
Hi, George.
I don't recognize George without the bug screen over his face.
Now we know.
Can you tell how many times I've watched Shalom over the last week?
Alice and Lee.
That's
That's our neighbor. Yeah. It's in Lee. Remember Tim?
What is this paper down here,
I've
George?
been able
What's
to
going
watch a
on?
couple of the videos so far through Andrew, and it's definitely been very entertaining watching it back and being like, oh, okay, that's the result of all of our filming. That was interesting.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I did that.
George, we made a lot of videos with our staff, Andra, and a lot of them haven't actually seen the finished product because we were still editing them when they had to go home. So,
Well, we'll see one this evening.
yeah.
Wait, where's
Wait.
the girl that Tim?
Tiffy. Here's Tiffy. Remember
Hello.
Tiffy?
Hello, Megan.
Oh, she's waving to you. Remember Lily?
I do. Hey, Lily.
Well, we're at the magic 7:07 time, so I'd suggest we start and we'll let people come in as they come in.
All right.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to our very first music event over Zoom. My name is Tivy. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am from Nashua. And I get to be the summer director at Horton Center. And we are really glad that you're all here. And we thought that this event would kind of make up a little bit for the fact that we couldn't be on the mountain together this summer. So we are so glad that Andra is here to bring a piece of Horton Center into our own homes. As we are getting settled in the, how do I explain this? We encourage you to include pronouns in the name that you use in Zoom. So if you hover over your tile, someone's dog is yappy. Okay, if you hover over your tile where you see your beautiful face, there should be 3 dots in the right-hand corner. This is if you're on a computer. If you click on those 3 dots, you should see an option that says rename. If you click on that, you can type whatever you would like to be called during this meeting, and then in parentheses, you can put whatever pronouns you prefer to use. Because it is a musical event and Zoom can't handle a lot of noise at one time, we are going to ask that you remain muted most of the time so that we can hear Andra's playing uninterrupted. But there will be times for questions and comments and stuff. So Gordon will let you know when those times are, and just feel free to raise your hand and you can unmute yourself and ask whatever question you have or say whatever you need to say. And just so you know, the chat feature within Zoom has been disabled for right now. But if you would like to use that, it will be enabled later on. So that if you want to write something down or say something to someone personally that you know, feel free to do that later on. And I think that's all I was responsible for saying. Again, we're glad you're here, and I'm going to pass it over to Tim to open us in prayer.
Hey, thanks, Tivy. Yeah, and I'm Tim Hughes. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm the executive director at Horton Center. And just really excited that Andra could come to this and that you all are going to be a part of this. And probably people will be wandering in and out. So, you know, it's like a regular concert, right? Just don't leave the door open when the light's on there. But yeah, let's begin in prayer in whatever way you feel most comfortable praying. Hi, Abby. We ask you to just be in that spirit. You can either, sometimes people close their eyes and fold their hands. Some people just hold their hands up, or whatever you want to do. But if you join me in the spirit of prayer, let us pray. Gracious Creator God, we thank you for this opportunity and this vehicle we call Zoom that allows us to do some community building and some wonderful, cool events like this musical event that we're doing for the first time at Horton Center at home. And thank you, God, for Andra, her talent and her willingness to share that talent, and the songs that she writes and the music that she plays touches our hearts. So God, I ask that you be with each of us and bring the joy, your joy to each of us through this musical event tonight. And that's about it. Let's get on with the show. Amen.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Gordon Rankin. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am the conference minister for the New Hampshire Conference of the United Church of Christ. And my job is to do 2 sets of introductions. But the first introduction is for our special musical guest this evening, who we've already mentioned a couple times. So we would welcome Andra Moran, who is a singer-songwriter who has produced several albums. I tried to start counting today and I kept losing count. So she may be able to give us an exact number, but She, in 2018, with some of her colleagues in the Convergence Music Project, provided music and worship leadership for 3 of the 4 regional youth events for the United Church of Christ and Disciples of Christ, including the one in the West Central region, where they had a theme called Faith Equals Action, and she wrote a theme song for that. And that is what we brought to camp last week. I think you can count on the fact you're going to hear that song through the course of the night. Andra is also a minister in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and then has the most important role of being a mother. So multi-talented and multi-gifted. The other introduction I'm supposed to do is, obviously this is a Horton Center gathering, and we wanted to take a moment to introduce to Andra what Horton Center is. It's a little bit different this summer, but we thought we should let her know a little bit about the setting that we all like so much. So I'm going to share a screen for a moment, and we are just going to have a nostalgic reminder about what Horton Center is about.
If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, 2, all 3, amen.
Bill! Craig! Bill! Craig! I love Horton Center because of the people and the setting, which helps me connect to them so much more. It's like hiking and church at Chapel Rock is quite astonishing and just adds to the whole being close to God thing. What really brings me to Horton Center is all of their activities, because they have rock climbing, caving, remembering all of the staff and all of the people who work here, meeting new friends. It's really, really fun.
What I love about Horton Center most is definitely the people that are here, both the staff members and the kids. They make it so much more fun and really make it worth coming. My favorite things are probably just to hang out like on Randolph Ledge or Chapel Rock, or go rock climbing. And I also feel closer to God here than I do any other place.
I'm here all the time, every summer, for like usually 2 weeks, maybe more, and there's no one I'd rather be around than the people here because of what this place makes them into.
All the cool experiences you can have, like making new friends and doing cool outdoor activities like canoeing, team building exercises, and learn about God.
Well, I like how they have lots of different activities. You're doing like first time or something that you wish to do for like the first time. Like you make a lot of friends here, very nice staff, really yummy food, and behind me is like really beautiful views, very nice like cabins. It's so nature, and you are gonna have so much fun if you're here.
If somebody were to ask me why would I go to Horton Center, I would go straight to their face and I would say, it's really fun. And best of all, you get s'mores.
Everyone welcomes you, and you feel like you're at home if someone's always there for you.
And you're going to learn more about God and trying to know who you are and who you want to be in the future.
That this place is really beautiful. You should never feel alone or worried about anything, because there's always people there.
much fun.
So through the course of our time, we're going to give you a chance to ask Andra some questions, but we're also going to have Andra a chance to ask you all a little bit about Horton Center. So be thinking about what you might have to say about Horton Center. But I think it's time, since this is supposed to be a musical event, to turn things over to Andra for some music.
Well, I'm excited to be here with y'all. Thank you for having me. I am coming to you from my little office in my house in Nashville, Tennessee, where I am been quarantining now for 4 months with a 4-year-old girl, just the two of us, and that's a pretty intense situation. You can imagine that when we play like Mother May I and Red Light, Green Light, it's not nearly as fun when there's only one person on each team. So it's really nice to be with all of you, and I've spent a lot of time in Zoom rooms, but none with mountains quite like we're in that video. So that was pretty remarkable. Thank you for sharing a little bit of where you are with me. I am a summer camp nerd. I love summer camp, and this will be actually the first year, I think, in my life, I'm pretty sure in my life, that I haven't gone to summer camp. My mom was a pastor, and when I was little, I would always tag along with her, and I grew up in camp, and so I'm counting this as summer camp, and I actually put on bug spray for the occasion. So I was like, look, you may not know it, but I smell like off right now. So, you know, there you are, ready to rumble. And and thank you for being so expressive with your faces and your thumbs up and your smiles, because since you're muted, I can't really hear you. And it's a weird scene, right? Like being kind of solo in a room and being all together. So I'm going to introduce, this is a song that I learned in camp when I was in high school, and I always loved it. And I thought I'd start with this. You hear okay? Kind friends gather round, there's something I would say. What brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle and holds us all inside. Strangers are like family, and loneliness can hide. You must give yourself to love if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to tears and laughter. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. You know, it's funny because the world is taking a little bit of a different shape right now. I hadn't thought about this in advance, but you know that first verse talks about love making a circle and that we're all kind of gathered in a circle, but on Zoom, we're all really gathered in a square, right? We're all these little squares. And, you know, the world is changing shape in a lot of ways, isn't it? I mean, just as I was singing, I was thinking about, I mean, even literally, the world feels like it's changing shape. But love grows and changes and expands and moves with us. So even as the solid mountain ground is under your feet in your imagination, know that love is really the ground you're walking on. I've walked mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you here. I never did know how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, you're standing with me now. You must give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your heart to tears and laughter. Give yourself to love. and give yourself to love. Now love is born in fire, it planted like a seed. And love won't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you are ready, it comes when you're afraid. It'll be your greatest teacher and the best friend you can make. You must give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your heart to the tears and laughter. Give yourself to love, and give yourself to love. You must give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Yay. No, wait, if people want to unmute themselves to clap or scream or yell or say hi or thanks after the song, I mean, I think that's okay, right? Anyway,
Totally.
I love that song.
Oh, thanks. You know, my little girl is actually doing a drama camp. It's really funny to see a bunch of 4-year-olds on Zoom, but she's doing a Zoom drama camp. And so it's cute because I'll hear her down, or I'll like kind of see out of the corner of my eye down here, and she's going like this while they're acting things out for each other. This is like Zoom applause. It's a little less gratifying than the real thing, but you know, hey, I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it. So speaking of doing things together, Tim sent me some of the songs that you all sing together, and I thought, I mean, are y'all up for singing together a little bit? Let's see. I think you know this one. Let me think. I have to remember where I am. Yeah. All right, here we go. This is We Are One. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. And we pray that all unity may one day be restored. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Yeah, all right, we will work. We will work with each other. We will work side by side. We will work with each other. We will work side by side. And we'll guard each one's dignity and save each one's pride. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. We'll walk. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. We will walk with each other. We will walk hand in hand. And together we'll spread the news that God is in our land. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Yeah, all right. You did it. Good job.
Yay.
That's good. I'm wondering if any of you all it's hard for me to tell from little squares, but was that someone dancing with a cat in one of those squares? Or was that a small child? It was a cat?
It was a cat. We just got 2 kittens. We call them our pandemic kittens. And one of them, the boy, Creamsicle, just walked into my room and started pawing at me to pet him. So
did you say your cat, hold on, I just need to be clear about this. Is your cat's named Creamsicle like the ice cream, or Creepsicle like what a creep?
ice cream.
Okay, that's a better name than Creepsicle. I don't think you should name it.
I also saw another cat being dancing with Tucker, who was one of our stars from the video, by the way. But which cat is that you got there? Sorry, you guys are muted probably.
It's Mittens.
It's Mittens. Okay.
We have Oreo here too.
This is working out really well for me because I'm allergic to cats, so I don't usually get to have dancing cats at my gigs, right? So this is awesome. It's a whole next level thing. I thought I'd do one more song, and then I want to ask you all to. I'd love to entertain questions from you. So over the next song, I'm just going to tell you that I wrote this next song at the regional youth events last summer. One of my jobs was to teach the songwriting workshops. So in the hour and a half that we had for workshops, I would have a group of kids and sponsors, and we would write a song in about an hour. And so this is one of the songs that came out of one of those workshops. And well, most of it did, and I just kind of adjusted a little bit. But I love to write music. I've been living in Nashville for 25 years. I moved here when I was 19 to go to college and to study music. And it's been a really fun place for me. And normally, I mean, this is the last 4 months are the most time I have spent in one place in my adult life. Normally I'm on the road as a musician, and that has been a real shift for me, like a real change, not to be with people connecting through music. Music is my favorite way to connect with people. So I'm really thankful to you for letting me connect with you in this way. And I'm going to share this song that I wrote in the songwriting workshop is about the beauty of the world. And what a gorgeous, thank you for that video of Horton Center, because what a gorgeous camp you have. What a gorgeous camp. Oh, I bet you miss it. I miss it, and I haven't even been there yet. All right, here we go. The beauty of the sunrise, the dimming of the day, a tiny grain of sand that's kissed by a crashing tidal wave. God, it's good. Oh, God, it's good. The depth of desert canyon, a stand of shady birch, majestic snow-capped mountains, all creation is your church. God, it's good. Oh, God, it's good. All things bright and beautiful, the dreams of God unfurl, ours to hold and ours to guard, this big, bright, beautiful world. The climbing honeysuckle, a busy bumblebee, the truth that fills the orchard, seeds of possibility. Oh, God, it's good. Oh, God, it's good. All things bright and beautiful, the dreams of God unfurl, ours to hold and ours to guard, this big, bright, beautiful world. You know, one of the reasons I am so passionate about summer camp is because it teaches us to love the natural world, and we connect with God in ways that we don't connect otherwise. And I feel like generation after generation of campers learn about ecology and creation care which is part of connecting on a deep level with God. So when we take care of our camps, we're teaching people to love God through nature. All things bright and beautiful, the dreams of God unfurled, ours to hold and ours to guard. This big, bright, beautiful world. This big, bright, beautiful world. This big, bright, beautiful world. Thanks, you guys. Well, tell me what I can tell you. What would you like to know from me tonight? I see a hand. Abby?
How long have you been singing?
Oh, man. I guess I've been singing since, really since I was a tiny little kid. My family's pretty musical. Both of my grandmas were church organists. And my dad's a drummer. My mom was an oboe player. My sister's a church pianist. My earliest memories of singing for other people were Sunday school, church choir, and vacation Bible school. So really, as long as I can remember. Do you sing?
Yeah.
It's fun, isn't it? Yeah, I agree.
Just a logistical note, if you want to unmute yourself for just a second, you can hold the space bar on your keyboard if you're on a computer, and then let it go and you go mute again.
I didn't know that. Cool. Kirsten?
So I know that for me, connecting, like, my favorite part of music is using it to both connect with God and with others. So my music, for me, music is something that is very spiritual. And so I'm curious what your favorite part of writing or performing or sharing music is.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say for me, it is that sweet spot of connecting with other people. Like I actually prefer to sing harmony with other people. I mean, I'm happy to sing lead, but it's so much fun for me to sing harmony, to find that spot where the connection happens. And I miss singing with people, kind of that energetic exchange that happens, and that's where I feel God most is when we're singing together, you know. And I don't particularly have any I don't get a lot out of just like going for it and singing something cool and, you know, showing off a trick. It's more like wondering what we could build together when we're singing together, you know. And I love writing music. I love writing music that other people can find useful and applicable in their lives. But I'll tell you one thing that has happened to me during this time of COVID that has been a little bit of a surprise is, I guess I didn't realize how many songs I have written about hope and like your life falling apart, which I'm not sure what that says about me, but I was kind of surprised and thankful to hear some of my own songs coming back and giving me a little bit of a boost, you know. And there is, for me as a writer, there's a little bit of an otherworldliness where sometimes I can't even figure out where a song has come from. It's like it just lands in my lap and my job is to just write the thing down, you know. And so I haven't been writing very much in the last few months, but songs that I have written years ago that I'd kind of forgotten about are starting to show up again. I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that song, and it says something that I myself need to hear. So that's kind of been an interesting experience. Do you write?
I don't do a lot of writing music, only because I enjoy singing a lot. I don't necessarily, you know, and I'm not writing it, but I enjoy singing with a choir or, you know, doing musical theater. And then I play the Native American flute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily doing a lot of writing. A lot of that for me is improvisation, but my favorite part about it is, having the chance to perform for others, whether it's, I'm standing out on a street corner and I'm performing, or having a chance to, do a concert, or, when I was in high school, my band director wrote a piece for our string orchestra as accompaniment, so I would play over that. And so that sort of thing is where I really enjoyed being able to connect with people through music and hearing their stories and hearing, what it makes them feel and sharing how it makes me feel. So it's that sort of thing that I really enjoy and appreciate.
Yeah, that's very well said. Yeah. And do you ever sing with Abby? Are you all in the same camp?
Yeah, Abby and I were campers for a couple of years together, and then I was on staff this year, so unfortunately I didn't get to see her this year, but miss you, Abby. It's definitely
Miss you too.
Yeah, it's been a fun experience being at camp and being able to sing with other campers, whether it's we're doing hymns or campfire songs, like, joking around filming all of our hymns for out of the songbook this year was fun. Or I have a memory from a couple years ago where Abby and I and a few campers sang Seasons of Love together for the talent show, or things like that.
Oh, cool.
Together on it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Don't all ask questions at once. It just overwhelms Zoom.
So, Andra, I have a friend who's also a singer and a writer that lives in Nashville. So what's it like to live in Nashville? It's like music central, right?
Yeah, it is. Nashville's gone through a lot of changes now. Now it's a big medical town too. I guess a lot of pharmaceutical sales and like medical device sales. And so one thing that has changed just in the last couple of years is real estate prices have really gone up. And so a lot of musicians are being edged out of being able to afford living in Nashville itself, because as you might have seen in every cliche movie ever, being a songwriter doesn't pay much. So that has been a real change. And but music, it's kind of funny. When I moved here on the 4th of July when I was 19, and I drove into town and I stopped to get gas, and I was filling up gas in my car, and the attendant saw my license plate was from Kansas, and he said, "Oh, Kansas, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I moved here to be a songwriter." And he said, "Oh, interesting. My cousin's a songwriter." And I thought, "Oh, what are the chances?" And what I didn't know well enough at the time was basically it's like LA for actors, but everybody in Nashville knows someone who's a songwriter, is a songwriter. So here's a joke from Nashville music. We call it Music City if you live here. Here's a joke from Music City to you. What is the best way to get a songwriter off of your front porch? Anybody know?
I don't know. What is the best way to get a songwriter off your porch?
You pay for the pizza. It's like very depressing joke, but very true.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you get to experience other people's music as much as you'd like to, being on the road all the time? How much time do you get to spend actually absorbing from other people?
You mean going to shows or listening on
shows? Or yeah, I was thinking more in person rather than just on the radio. Or
well, I have a little kid who she's 4. So, but before she came along, so fairly recently, I was seeing live music about 5 nights a week. And so many, because there is live music like every afternoon, every evening, every night in Nashville. You could probably pick one of 300 shows a day if you wanted to. There's just so much, and it's everywhere. And you always have a friend that's doing a show that you needed to support, which I actually really enjoyed that. And it's part of, when somebody has a CD release party or a album release party, that's like going to somebody's baby shower. I mean, that's the thing that they're bringing into the world, you know, so it's pretty bad manners if you don't show up. And I'm in an 80s cover band that has been playing music together for 20 years. And like, it's just really funny. And so there's about 19 of us that swap around. And so we always do, there's just so much music all the time. And I find that now, the one thing that I really miss the energy of being in a room with people in live music right now. It's a really different thing. It's like the energy of the air in the room. I mean, there's a molecular shift when you're standing in front of a amplifier stack, you know, that you don't have behind your computer. So I really miss that. I was looking at a picture of a selfie I had taken from the stage out at this big crowd. And the other day I was looking at it, I was like, man, this picture like makes me really sad and also kind of makes me super nervous, because all of a sudden I think about, there were so many germs in the room at that particular moment, you know, and we didn't even know it. They weren't on our radar at that time. It was from last summer. And it's crazy to think about being in a tightly packed amphitheater or an arena, or what does that feel like? And just all of the energy that individual people bring into a musical experience, I think is really cool. So, yeah.
I think that's your next song then, about being in that room 5, 8, 10 months ago before anybody knew about the germs.
That's right.
Hi, Mr. Dan.
Related to that, like, we don't know if everything's going to go completely back to normal, but if and when things go back to normal, what is the thing that you're looking forward to most?
Man, you know, I love having dinner parties. I like to cook, and I have friends over a lot for meals, and no one other than the exterminator has been in my house in 4 months, except for me and my kid and the exterminator. And when he came in, she was like, "Hi, how's it going? I want to be friends," you know? And I'm like, "He's here to kill the spiders, oh God." So I think having people over for dinner and being with people musically, whether that's at church or whether that's at in concert, you know, being with people musically. I'm in a couple of different bands, and the church that I serve, we have a band that's played together for several years, and it's always, they're great friends and great players. And gosh, one of the things that's tricky is not singing harmony with other people, you know. That's weird. So.
Lily, we see you have your hand up. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I'm looking for a hand.
Ready? I don't know what your question is. Sorry, our video got a little crazy. We tried to do a Horton Center background, and now we are Horton Center. I thought you had it. Oh. We were going to ask about what other instruments you play, if you play anything other than the guitar.
I do. I play piano, and you know, I play piano and guitar. And my quarantine project is, my dad bought a cello on Craigslist and sent it to me. So I have been poorly learning to play the cello out of a book, like looking at me like, okay, it's not going well. But you know, for different things, I'll play some percussion and stuff like that, but I don't really play drum set. You know, cool. Most singer-songwriters can leap around with a tambourine, you know, it's kind of a thing.
Lily actually got a ukulele for her birthday and started taking lessons. So maybe next summer she'll be able to bring it with her.
Oh, there you go. I actually do play the ukulele. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be fun. Maybe if we're all together in person, we can do a ukulele duet.
I find it funny because I have friends who are music majors, and it was definitely interesting hearing from them about the difficulty of trying to do chamber choir or learn the cello, or, you know, trying to have music lessons online via Zoom. It's definitely been an interesting experience for them during this.
It's weird for the teachers too. The keyboard player in my band teaches at Vanderbilt, teaches the Vanderbilt Music School. And she said, it's just really hard because you're kind of trying, first of all, everything's backwards. You know, you're looking at somebody being like trying to adjust their hands, or, yeah, it's weird. And then vocal tone through a webcam, it's hard to judge it or adjust it, you know. Yeah.
So I want to hear you play some more music, but I just have one question about songwriting.
Sure.
I've done some songwriting, and I'm just curious, do you usually get an idea for a tune, or do you start with words and then come up with a tune for that, or but at the same time, or what?
Well, for me, it's kind of half and half in the inspiration department. Sometimes I'll just be fooling around, you know, with a little melody, or I'll hear a phrase that someone has said and it'll stick with me and I'll be interested in it. And so I'll scribble it down, or I mean, all over my house and in my glove compartment in my car and stuff, little scraps of paper with things, you know, and every so often I'll gather them all up and throw them in a shoebox. And then when it's time to write something, I'll go in and pick one like a fortune cookie, you know, and go, oh, we can do this one today. Great
idea.
Out of my disorganization comes my comes my song. But you know, the other thing about living in Nashville is that most writers are trying to make a living as songwriters, and so there's a disciplined element to it that's not inspiration, right? So so what the record labels will do and have done for years is they will post lists of who's recording songs and what they're looking for. So they'll say like, well, Taylor Swift's a bad example because she writes most of everything herself, but they'll say like, Taylor Swift has a new album coming out in April. She's looking for up-tempo love songs, or she's looking for ballads at, you know, whatever. And so then you can kind of try to write what that artist might be looking for. And so it's been kind of an interesting thing to explain this to people who haven't heard of it, but basically you make an appointment. So if you and I were going to write together, we would say, okay, you know, like if I was writing with Meg, I'd say, all right, Meg, I'll see you Tuesday at 1:00 and we're going to try that Taylor Swift ballad. And then you would both have an assignment to think about, okay, what would be kind of a title, or like get a little bit of an idea together. And then you'd sit down at 1:00, and from 1 to 3, you would try to hammer out a song. And if you get it, you get it. And if you don't get it, you go out for pizza and there you go. And you try again the next appointment. That's kind of like, I guess the closest thing would be like trying to write a paper in school when you know the general direction you're supposed to go. And then you try to actually make that thing happen. It's that disciplined approach, which is weird, right? Because normally, I mean, if somebody's on Jimmy Fallon talking about the song they wrote, they never say, I was trying to make money off of this, so I sat down to do my job. But it is true that there is a lot of focused discipline and energy. And early on as a writer, someone gave me the advice, don't rely on your feelings, which surprised me because every little bit of music I had ever written, I mean, as a teenager, I was writing songs that were all about my teenage heartbreak and, you know, or the stuff that I was dealing with that was emotional. And I'd always written from a place of emotion. And they were saying, you need to develop this like a skill, just like a gymnast would train every day or an ice skater would train every day. You have to develop the muscles of creativity. And so I think that's a good framework for all of us to be thinking about as human beings, that creativity is a muscle that we flex, and whether that applies in songwriting or even in how we're responding to a global pandemic. You know, how are we going to, I mean, this right here is a great example of flexing that creative muscle. Like, we can't safely be physically in the same space, but we're going to flex creatively and figure out how can we still be together. And so I think to Kirsten's point about, we don't know if it's ever going to go back to normal. I think normal is probably going to look different than it did a year ago, just because we've lived through this experience. And what that's going to look like, we don't know, but we know that we are in the process of having to shift and adapt and adjust. And that's changing us, you know, in pretty profound ways. So it was a long-winded answer, sorry.
That makes songwriting sound a bit like sermon writing, and Sunday's going to come eventually and you got to write something.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Well, you know, twice now I've heard people mention hymns and that hymns have been important. So I'd love to share one of my favorite hymns with you. And this is Great is Your Faithfulness. Sometimes it's called Great is Thy Faithfulness. Do y'all know that one? That that was one of my grandma's favorite songs, and it has really come up for me a lot during this time when there's so much that's unknown and uncomfortable. Thinking about God as faithful companion through this journey has been really powerful for me. So I'll share that with you now. If you know this song, or if you want to just Google the text real quick, great is thy faithfulness, it'll probably come up pretty easy. And I've adjusted a little bit of the words to make it more inclusive, but feel free to sing along on mute. Great is thy faithfulness, O God creator. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, God, unto me. Summer and winter, springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, God, unto me. Pardon for all, and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today, bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, God, unto me. Great is thy faithfulness, God, unto me. Yeah, hey, thanks for singing along. Thanks for singing along. Well, hey, I know that we did a little bit of questions from you to me, but I have some questions for you. I know somebody mentioned in that video about s'mores, and I was explaining to my little girl that I was going to be doing this tonight and trying to explain about summer camp, and she's gone to camp with me her whole life, you know. So she said, well, what's it going to be like? Is there is there going to be a campfire? And I said, well, I don't really think so. But she said, just in case, that she drew you some s'mores. So here's some s'mores for you. And this right here is extra pieces of chocolate because that's how she likes it. So you're set. But my question for you, well, this is kind of a silly question. How many bug bites do you think you have spared yourselves by not being at physical camp this summer?
Hundreds.
A lot.
Probably a lot.
In a day.
It depends on what time of the year that you're there, because the beginning of the summer, there's a lot more than towards the end of the summer, but it's a lot.
I'm going to keep that in mind for next summer.
I don't know. I got 2 today, so I'm not doing so well.
Hence the head net.
Oh, man. And what places, I mean, golly, that video showed so many gorgeous spots, but when you're actually at camp, what places on the camp grounds themselves are most important to you, or what's like sacred ground for you? I see Abby's hand.
For me, it's either Chapel Rock or Pinkham Ledge. Both of them are, Pinkham Ledge is a little bit of a further hike, a little bit more of a trek, but it's so much fun camping out there, and we do something every week, hopefully every week, where we actually get to sleep out on the ledge, and we get to wake up to the sunrise and watch the sunset, which is absolutely amazing.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. Thanks, Abby.
Definitely Pinkham Ledge. You know, again, along with the sunrise and the sunset, it's also, whether it's the moon or the stars, it's always nice up there. And I realize that some people have been rained on, which I say, like, good for you for getting through that, because fortunately I've never had to deal with that. But another place that I really like is Madpo, or Madison Porch, which is part of the main building. It's a porch with a bunch of really nice rocking chairs. You can sit and you can just see the peak of Mount Madison off in the distance. And that's a nice spot as well.
Nice. Phoebe? Oh, you're muted, Phoebe. Click your little microphone there on your left corner. She said something super awesome. I just know it. Tim is showing us a picture. Ooh, that's beautiful.
That's Pinkham Ledge. It's not the best picture, but it's the one I could find on my phone quickly.
Wow.
The white line is just a line of quartz in the ledge that's there.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's cool. I think we missed you there, Phoebe. Let's see. I think you're unmuted now, though.
Am I back? Oh,
yes.
Good. I've hiked down with some kids down the power line. And one of my favorite places, my grandson took me to the rocks, where you go through the rocks. And I was the only grandparent that tried it. And I made it through, but it was the scariest place I'd ever been, but I got through it, and that's Johnny's and my favorite place is the hike through the rocks.
I didn't peg you for a thrill seeker. All right.
My grandson talked me into it.
Cool. What's one tradition that you're really missing out on by not being physically together this year? Is there anything that you've done every year of camp, or something that you're really missing this summer? Abby?
Every year since I've gone, I've taken a picture in the sunset up on Pinkham Ledge, and I'm just really missing out on that this summer. Not being able to be up there.
Yeah. Meg?
I think I miss doing shalom for real, like holding everybody's hand and then turning around. And I was able to do that with the kids this week that I had, and it was really, really special. So I think I miss doing it with all of you, but for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I miss the clamor and energy and excitement of the eating meals in the Spirit Lodge. That's where we have our dining hall, and singing graces there, like just having that group of people there, enthusiastic. And yeah.
Speaking of meals, I was surprised in the video to hear compliments on the food. I thought camp food was supposed to be epically bad. You know, I've never heard of camp food being particularly good. So I was intrigued by that. What meals from camp are you
good question.
Are you missing?
Anything that
Emmy's scones?
Rohan really misses the coffee bread. He loves the coffee bread.
Coffee bread.
We also have a classic called sausage stars. And I can't remember what the dough part of is. Dan might remember because when we were
The wonton wrapper.
yeah. But
in the kitchen.
yeah, so it's the wonton wrapper, and then it's sausage and corn and peppers and onions, kind of, and cheese, whatever you want it to be in the center. But that's something that everyone kind of clamors for during the week.
That sounds good. Yeah.
And food can't be bad because, like, I mean, it always depends on who's working, but we've been very lucky to most of the time have really good chefs. I'm mostly just doing this to talk up Dan because he was our chef being on staff and also last year as a camper. So, hi, Dan.
Phoebe?
I love the sandwiches that you make and you put it in your backpack and you get to the top of the mountain and the peanut butter and jelly is all smashed together. It tastes so good when you get to the top and have lunch.
Now down here in the South, the peanut butter and jelly would be running out the back because of the sandwich, because it would have melted. We have a daily high of 96 for the next week. So yeah.
I mean, I would have to say most of the time in the summer, we have ice cream time between our two afternoon blocks. And that's one of my favorite parts of the day, I have to say.
Perfect. You know, I have another question for you, and I'm really kind of curious about your answers here. So I'm going to spend a little time on this, but it feels like to me, my favorite part of camp every year is always the talent show. I am always blown away by what kids and sponsors are able to do and what they bring, and I just love the guts that it takes to stand up in front of a room full of people and kind of put yourself out there, and especially for people that have never done that before and are kind of like, all right, camp, here we go. I'm going to try it for the first time. And I think the reason I like that the best is because camp is such a place of acceptance. And it feels like every time I go to camp, I hear people say, like something along the lines of, I wish the world were more like camp. Now that we're coming down from the mountain of camp, you know, whether your camp's actually on a mountain or not, when you're coming out of camp, I wish the world were more like that. And so I guess I'm wondering if there are places that you're seeing the magic of camp alive in the world right now, or if there are places that you could bring a little bit of the magic of camp and how you might do that. So that's my question to you. Are there places you're seeing the magic of camp already alive and kicking, or are there ways that you could imagine bringing that to life around you? And I see Abby's hand.
I've been fortunate enough, before the pandemic, I was actually able to bring pieces of Horton Center to my church. A lot, actually. And a lot of the kids from my church remind me of Horton Center. So I've been unable to have that connection, but I've found a connection through just being outside on my swing set and just listening to the sounds that's going on around me, like the chirping of the birds or the movement of the grass when the bunnies hop by and stuff.
That's the way I am. Yeah.
It's a great answer. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Good answer. We met on Zoom with the Lee Church right down when Lee was minister, wanted to take a week off. And I saw all the grandmothers that I had been in the cabin with, and we just like, it was a reunion of all of our memories and everything. It was just a great, they're still there, you know, and it was a great reunion.
That's cool.
Well,
yeah. I know that one of our campers last week was talking about planning a Black Lives Matter rally in her town, which I thought was just a wonderful way of taking camp attitude out into what she was doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I know that after, past couple weeks that I was like reaching out to people that I knew, like, hey, are you looking for something to do this summer? Do you go to Horton Center at home? You should sign up for Horton Center at home. And then maybe next year you'll go for real. And, so I know that it's been nice to see some people be like, oh yeah, I'd actually be interested in that, and looking for people that might be interested in learning more about Horton Center and joining the community. So yeah, that sort of thing.
Definitely a good time to do some research about your summer plans next year.
I haven't been able to get out much, so there's that. But I did get my sister to sign up for Horton Center at home, and she just got her bag, and she got one of Abby's postcards.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'd love to share another song with you. It's funny because I'm actually working on some curriculum for Advent. We're a long way from Christmas, it feels like, but it'll be here before you know it. And so one of the things I was kind of thinking of was, where are we going to all be at Christmas? Like, what's gonna be the whole vibe of the world, and what are we going to be doing? And obviously Christmas is going to be after the election, so that's going to be a huge change in our world one way or another. And I'm guessing that most of us on this call probably have a similar hope for the outcome of the election.
Yes.
But I wrote this song that I'm about to share with you right before the last presidential election 4 years ago. And it talks about the division in our world, between all dualistic ways of thinking. So when I was writing with this songwriter named Gabe Dixon, who's awesome. If you haven't heard his music, check him out. But he and I were talking about where there were places in nature where there's kind of a sweet spot of two opposite things connecting. So when I'm thinking about that, I was thinking, well, what about that moment where it's not day anymore and it's not night anymore? There's like one moment every day that God has put into the framework of our lives every single day to remind us that there is a tiny little connecting point between polar opposites, that we can see opposite things come together in a moment. And down here, there's a huge divide, and people are really resistant to wearing masks, and they're, crowing about their individual freedoms and everything. And I have really struggled to not be super judgmental and crummy about that, honestly. And I have had to remind myself of my own areas where I'm getting it wrong. And where I'm getting it wrong in that moment is that I'm coming down on a side of anger instead of coming down on a side of love. And if we're all standing on the side of love, then we're not on the right side or the left side, or we're not on the upside or the down. You know, if we're all standing on the side of love, we're all on the same side. So I'd love to share this song with you. And then I think we're going to see another video. Morning breaking, night is fading out. Day and evening find their common ground. You see it your way and I see it mine. This is how we see things eye to eye. In the moment where the light meets night, we'll be standing side by side. Doesn't matter if you're left or right, if we're both on the side of love, on the side of love, on the side of love. In the places you and I collide, fear divides us, locks us up inside. Knock down, drag out, soul search, fight. My heart wants to be so open wide. In the moment where the light meets night, we'll be standing side by side. Doesn't matter if you're left or right, if we're both on the side of love, on the side of love. Oh, well, I've heard it said, peace is just for dreamers, but even day and night are reconciled at dawn. And I believe justice is a river and mercy flows around us like a song. Oh, oh, oh. In the moment where the light meets night, we'll be standing side by side. Doesn't matter if you're left or right, if we're both on the side of love. In the magic of the chance we share, we could take this feeling anywhere. Make it happen if we only dare to stand on the side of love, on the side of love, on the side of love, on the side of love. Let's stand on love. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
So friends, we have 2 more songs, but before we do that, we want to make sure we say thank you to Andra, and I think Tim is going to show one of the ways we're going to do so.
Yes, give me a second.
So he's going to do that in a moment. So I will introduce our last song while Tim's getting, oh, he's back.
Is he bringing the ice cream?
Oh, sorry, I ate the ice cream actually. So this summer we didn't get to have camp at camp, so we did what we called Horton Center at home, and we wanted to give you one of our t-shirts like the campers got, and as soon as you can email us what size you would prefer, and then we'll send it to you.
you.
Just as a thank you, and so you can feel like you're part of our camp experience this summer.
Will you mail the ice cream with it, or how's that gonna?
I will mail the ice cream. Yeah,
Okay.
it might not be very icy by then.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. That's so sweet.
So our last two songs are going to involve a bit more audience participation. Our last two songs both have some hand motions with them that I know many of our campers and staff know, so we're going to invite you to participate. We thought it was good to share one of our favorite Horton Center songs with Andra. And one of the ones we love so much because it speaks about coming to and going out from the mountain is We Come From the Mountain. And so we're going to let our wonderful staff lead us in that. Everybody, you get to do all the hand motions along with them, so.
We come from the mountain. We come from the mountain. Go back to the mountain and turn the world around. We come from the mountain. Go back to the mountain and turn the world around. We come from the water. We come from the water. Go back to the water and turn the world around. We come from the water. Go back to the water and turn the world around. We come from the fire. We come from the fire. Go back to the fire and turn the world around. We come from the fire. Go back to the fire and turn the world around. We come from the sky. We come from the sky. Go back to the sky and turn the world around. We come from the sky. Go back to the sky and turn the world around. We come from the mountain. We come from the water. Go back to the fire and turn the world around. We come from the sky. Go out from the mountain. Turn the world around. Turn the world around. Turn the world around.
Who
We
was
should
that?
probably make sure we thank staff for all the wonderful songs they recorded for HC at Home this summer. So
Yes.
thank you all.
And who was that beardless guy playing the guitar? That's what I want to know.
That was Dan before he grew it out.
It grew fast there, Dan.
Well, speaking of songs with motions, I hear there's a song that I wrote that has made its way to Horton Center that you guys are using called Faith Equals Action. And I'm wondering if you can show me which motions you use, because I can't guide you since my hands are going to be busy, right? So you want to talk it through? So Faith, how do you do that? You do Faith? Okay, Faith. Do you do equals? And then what do you for action? Action? Is that how you do it? You show me how you all do it, because I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like oral tradition. Every region does it differently.
Abby, why don't you take a lead?
All right, Abby, you ready? All right, here we go, everybody. Here we go. Faith equals action. Everything we do, everywhere we move. Faith equals action. Come on, everybody, put your feet to work. Isn't it plain to see what you say has gotta be what you do? If it's true, everyone gather round, finding our common ground. Be the change right now. Come on, faith equals action. Everything we do, everywhere we move, yeah, faith equals action. Come on, everybody, put your feet to work, yeah. Isn't it plain to see what you say has gotta be what you do. If it's true, everyone to gather round, finding our common ground. Be the change right now. Oh, faith equals action. Everything we do, everywhere we move, shake it. Faith equals action. Come on, everybody, put your feet to work. Come on, everybody, put your feet to work. One more. Come on, everybody, put your feet to work. Yeah, all right. That was fun.
How fun. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our special HC at Home event this evening. Thank you, Andra, so much for leading us in music this evening. We so much appreciate it. Everyone, as you head forth, even during this time that seems so uncertain and so expected, may you find ways and places to let the song in your heart come forth. May you find ways and places to allow that spirit of camp community to be born in other community around you. May you find ways and places to make that shalom that we sing about around the peace pole be the peace with which we live our lives. Blessings to you all. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
And thank you, Andra, for singing for us.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I take your picture, actually? Everybody smile. Say hi. I'm going to take your picture. Cute. Keep in touch, y'all, and I'll be praying for you, and please pray for me, okay? We'll do this together.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
And it's so nice to see all you guys. I miss you all.
I know.
I miss you too.
And safe driving down south, Dan.
Yeah. Gunnar, it's good to see you.
It's great to be back.
Gordon didn't recognize you when you spelled your name without the R at the end.
You know, the first time I did this thing, it was like, it at UNNA, and it automatically went whammo because I was doing it on a touch screen, and it remembers. It does. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to edit it.
There is. There is.
It's like
way too late now.
It's cast in the computer's memory, and it's like Gonzo. It's like I'm now gonna.
It's just a hip version of your name.
Yeah.
It's the New England accent coming out.
Yes, that's it.
Andra, Gunnar is one of our musician counselors that comes up in the summertime, and we love when Gunnar comes up because he plays the bass so amazingly, and I love it because I get to jam with him. And also, Gunnar has a tradition at camp where after meals, he will read the ingredients on one of the things that was in what we had. And let me tell you, if you think that doesn't sound interesting, it didn't sound interesting to me until I heard him do it. And it was hilarious, and the kids love it. It's a tradition. So,
See, that might have been the tradition you missed the most. You didn't speak up about that when we talked it over.
No, it's true. So, anyway, thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Andra.
Somewhere in here.
Stop recording.
Oh, good idea.
It did stop recording. Yay. Oh, boy, there's a rabbit that keeps running by my window back and forth.